Things you should know this week. Friday, on March 14th, it is going to be wonderful. We are having Dennis McCarty here. He is performing Servetus, the radically reformed musical. He wrote it. It's awesome. He tours across the country with it. And Servetus would be pretty tame today, but his writings were so offensive to the church fathers of his own time that John Calvin had him burned, making him our only martyr. And Dennis was here before when Cleaver was on sabbatical, so you all know him. The music is awesome in this. It ranges from blues and jazz to rock and roll. Tickets are a suggested $10. Don't let it stop you if you don't have it. Come anyway. But it's a great show. So please put that on your calendar for Friday, March 14, 7 p.m. It's a great show. 7. All right. John Van Camp would like me to announce that the Social Justice Alliance Strategic Workshop for Friday the 14th at 10 a.m. still has some spots. Would love to have some more people there. John, raise your hand. Show them who you are. There's John. Raise your cane. Talk to John if you want to go so that they can make sure there's enough food because lunch is provided. But please consider that one. It's going to be wonderful. Sage Circle signups are out there. If you look, I don't have an upright, they're just laying flat, but you'll see the little pink strip at the top that says name, and it's labeled Sage Circle. I've already got some names on it for the people that I know have already signed up. So if you've emailed me, your name should already be on there. You don't have to sign up twice. Please sign up if you're interested. They're going to be a lot of fun. I'll be getting emails out to everybody signed up to figure out a time when we can meet for the first time and then see what works best for everybody. But the circles signups are out there. And Rich Canarelli, I'm going to ask you to come up. He's got a little bit of a message here for us.
I promised Amy that I wouldn't speak longer than 15 minutes, so thank you. I want to thank everybody who stayed last week for the film that was never shown. I want, and especially those who contributed. We were able to show the film afterwards, where about 90% of the people had left. We had a brain trust over there of 4 people with incredible technical experience equivalent to 2 degrees in physics, chemistry, astrophysics, and they couldn't get it going, but Amy said, this is how we do it, poof, and the movie showed. Reverend Amy came through. There is a companion piece to the whole thing. The Suncoast Citizens for Separation of Church and State and the Social Justice Alliance are sponsoring an event on April 26th, Nar Hall and UCC Church on Shamrock Boulevard. Amy Tyler, the executive director of the Baptist Joint Committee for Religious Freedom, will be speaking via Zoom. She is a dynamic speaker. She's very ecumenical. We have invited a lot of people from the faith community. We're reaching out to them. She's speaking about, she wrote a book called How to End Christian Nationalism. It is a perfect companion to what the film is. Now, those of you who have not seen the film, you can probably still see it on YouTube. I've talked to a couple of people they have. It really is in many ways a must-see. We are taking donations, and I thank everybody who donated last week, but we're still taking donations for the April 26th event. We have a substantial honorarium to pay, plus other costs. And again, I apologize for last week, but thanks special to Reverend Amy.
And it's 99 cents on YouTube if you rent it. So it's cheap.
Going on here. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Venice, familiarly known as UCOV. My name is Eileen Leapley, and I'm honored to be your worship associate this morning for the service. At UCOV, we value the web of life, and we try to live in harmony with the other residents of our world. Whether you are a cat person or a dog lover, a fish fancier, or a guinea pig parent, you are welcome here. If you love animals in the wild, but can't imagine inviting one inside, you are welcome here. You are welcome here even if you dislike animals, but respect their right to live and thrive. If anyone's here for the first time and feels comfortable doing so, please raise your hand and Jean or Marcia will come and give you a microphone so you can stand and introduce yourself. No pressure, of course. Oh, we have a hand. Oh.
Peter and Linda Toomey, longtime members of this congregation. We got a late start coming to Florida due to family situation in Massachusetts, but we're delighted to be here. Thank you.
Welcome back. Love to see you again. Anybody else?
We're Fred and Eleanor Smith. We're seasonal attendees, and we're from Burlington, Vermont.
Oh, everybody loves Burlington. Anyone else? All right. If anyone has returned this week, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Sylvia.
I'm a returnee from Olympia, Washington, and I've been looking forward to rejoining here. Thank you.
Sylvia, so good to see you. Thank you. That was a long trip. Anyone else? Anyone else returning from up north or from a trip? We'd like to welcome you back. I'd like to acknowledge our longtime members, Kay and Tom Buchenhagen, who are probably watching from home in Silver Springs, Maryland. We miss you, Kay and Tom. We're now entering a sacred space, so please silence all your electronic devices. Francis of Assisi wrote, "If you have men who will exclude any of God's creatures from the shelter of compassion and pity, you will have men who will deal likewise with their fellow men." We light our chalice this morning so that its light may remind us to treat all beings with love, dignity, compassion, and respect.
Today we're going to talk about something that we haven't yet in the time I've been here. We're going to talk about the fact that we are not alone on this planet. We are not the only sentient beings, we are not the only tool-using beings, and we are not the only beings that understand gifts and money and empathy, war, love, and parenthood. Why talk about this right now? Well, because laws may change and environments may be threatened. Lab regulations may be loosened. And it's a good time to start the dialogue. And also because communication gets easier every year, and eventually our non-human friends will be able to tell us what they think of us. And I want us to be able to hold our heads high and smile when they tell us that, rather than having to hide in the closet. Terry Pratchett wrote, "We are as gods to the beasts of the field. We order the time of their birth and the time of their death, and between times we have a duty." And I agree with that. We have a duty, so let's talk about it. Let us worship here together. Our opening hymn this morning is number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. So please rise in body or spirit and join in singing number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
For the next several weeks, we will be spotlighting the teams that do the work of this church, work of this congregation. Some people don't like the word church. Hello, I'm Ann Harrison, and I'm the team leader for membership. Our congregation depends on its members, and simply put, we want you to join. That said, we never exert pressure, and we always accept people where they are. Our goal is to be a welcoming and informative transition from curious visitor to active, engaged member. Our work for UCOV includes staffing the welcome table on Sunday morning, sending welcome emails to visitors, hosting periodic orientation sessions for prospective members, leading a formal congregational welcome of new members, and helping new members connect with other teams and UCOV resources. These activities express our Unitarian values to respect the worth and dignity of every person, encourage each other's spiritual growth, and use the democratic process in our congregational governance. Our team is especially looking for volunteers who want to help strangers find comfort and peace in this place. Please come to one of our meetings or schedule a coffee with me to see if joining our team is right for you. Could the members of the membership team please stand? There are a few of us. Marcia Smith, Marty Wilmer, Linda Underwood, Eileen Leapley, and I, and Vivian Aldridge is not here today. Thank you. Please, if you're interested, stop by the welcome table after services to chat with us. We'd love to have you help us grow this congregation to be a beacon of hope and liberal religion in these difficult times. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to ask you to welcome Aurora Zia. She's been here before. She's played for you all. This time she'll be playing a big piece that she'll be doing for the Venice Musicale auditions at the end of the month. And so please give her a big hand.
Thank you so much for playing for us today. That was incredible. We're going into our time of offering now. And as always, our offering words are offered with a little levity because giving should not hurt. A minister got a kitten, and it immediately climbed up a tree in his backyard and would not come down. The minister offered treats and coaxed, but no dice. The kitty would not come down, and the tree wasn't strong enough to climb. So the minister, not being a very bright person, thought, I bet if I put a rope around that tree and hook it to my bumper, I can pull the tree down and then just take the kitty off the tree. So he put the rope around the tree and inched it out toward the end, hooked it to his bumper and got in and drove away slow, looking over his shoulder, and the tree came down and down. He tried once, touching to see if it was low enough, but it wasn't. He couldn't even jump at it. So he got back in and he drove a little more. And wouldn't you know, the worst happened. The rope broke. And there was a boing. And the kitten went flying through the air and out of sight. The minister felt terrible. He walked around the neighborhood asking people if they'd seen his kitten. He asked God to intervene. Kitten was nowhere in sight. He finally said, okay, Spirit of Life, I'm so sorry. Please care for the kitten. And he let it go. Well, a few days later, he was at the grocery store and he met one of his church members who ran up to him and immediately handed him a $100 bill. And he said, wow, what's this for? You've never pledged more than $10 in your life? And then he covered his mouth. And she said, well, now it's different. Now I know God is real. The minister said, we're Unitarians. What are you talking about? And she said, you won't believe this. But let me tell you, I hate cats. I hate cats. And my little girl has been begging and begging for one. And I said, well, let me tell you what. If God gives you a cat, you can keep it. My kid tells me, watch this. And she gets down on their knees in my yard and says, please, God, let me have a cat. But I saw it with my own eyes. I wouldn't have believed if I had. And a cat came zooming through the air and hit me in the chest. What am I going to do? Now, as I do not want to have to fling my 17-pound Hellcat Dippy at anyone, pony up. The morning offering will now be given and very gratefully received. Thank you all so much for these gifts and for everything you do for the life and the work of this community. Because community matters, and it's as a community of human hands and human hearts that we come here together to bear witness and to minister to one another as we celebrate life's joys and make it through life's sorrows. Before or at any other point in the service, you're always welcome to come up and light candles on the candle table. At this point in the service, we will light them for you. So if you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like to share, please raise a hand and Jean or Marcia will bring you a microphone.
After we did not sell our house, we decided to stay.
Good morning, I'm Katie Thomas, and I'd just like to express gratitude and thanks that my sweetie John Van Camp made it through his knee surgery just with flying colors. In a typical John story, I went to pick him up from the hospital the next morning. He said, "Yeah, I had scrambled eggs and they let me put my hot sauce on it." No problem.
Well, along with this wonderful comment, I also want to celebrate the fact that my dear love here, Louis, is back from his hip surgery. Unfortunately, there were no hot sauce for him in the eggs. It was not good, but anyway, he's back. So, celebration.
2 days ago, we sold our condo to our son after owning it for 10 years. So we're keeping it in the family, and we will be back.
Good morning. I'm Marcia Zurich, and I wanted to introduce my dear friend, Phyllis, who is here, my college pal and friend of over 55 years. I'm blessed and delighted to have her with me. We started out in college, lived for many years in Boston as we navigated the beginning of our work life together. And we traveled to Boston with a crew of about 12 wonderful people. Phyllis hails from Delaware and has been a faithful member of the Quaker faith for many years and was excited to be here with us today. We traveled to Boston with a crew of about 12 people, and we're very worried about one of our friends, whose name is Lee, who's suffering from stage 4 bladder cancer. So, and I believe Phyllis has something that she would like to ask for also.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Yes, we just found out that my brother, who's 4 years older than me, has come down with prostate cancer. And I guess the prognosis is fairly good, but you know, you never know. He's just started some treatment, and he's up in Boston. So any and all prayers will be, you know, appreciated. Thank you.
Well, my joy is that we still have room for you to go to Nicaragua with us on a service project. It's going to be June 7th to 15th. And there's a video on our website if you want to take a few minutes to look at it. It's a very short video describing the volunteer project. If you have any physical limitations, you don't need to worry about that. We're bringing teenagers to help with all those heavy lifting projects. I'm bringing 3 of my older teenagers, and they're very interested in working and learning about the culture, which you will do. And in the beginning of the video, you'll see someone feeding a monkey. Talked a lot about animals this morning. And we will visit Las Isletas, which is a little island that has monkeys on it that are well cared for and vetted every year, and you get to feed them from your boat. So it's a wonderful cross-cultural experience that I encourage everyone to take a look at. I have flyers on the table in the back behind the visitor sign-in sheet. This is my last Sunday. I'm going north, but my name and address and phone number and email are here, and you can contact me, and I will be in the back if you want to ask any questions. I've been about 8 times. It's very safe.
Hi, I'm Richard Palmer. It's nice to be back. I haven't been here for a while. my wife Pam is getting well, but she basically suffers from bad hair quarter. She's finally been put on dialysis, and it's really cleaned up a lot of her problems. And I'm appreciative that that's happening, and I will hope to bring her here the next Sunday if I can get her out. Thank you.
Judy. I want to celebrate that I've found so many friends around the neighborhoods that I live in. We all went into the Women's March in Sarasota yesterday. Had a wonderful time. I got sunburned. Obviously, I don't wear sunscreen often. Second thing, if anyone wants to watch that Bad Faith, if you have Amazon Prime, it is included in your Prime subscription. So, yeah. I've watched it already twice. Way more.
I just wanted to say a personal thanks to Aurora for the beautiful, beautiful playing today and the commitment to your talent. Is she still here? Oh, okay. Well, and thank you for bringing her to us. You mentioned Venice Musicale. I'm on the board, and I'm also chair of marketing and publicity of Venice Musicale. So you might see these out in the lanai. We have a beautiful concert coming up on the 15th. The reason I'm mentioning this is because music is such a wonderful part of our congregation, and I was brought here by the person who held the position I now hold in that organization, Barbara Griffin, and I'm so grateful to her for bringing me here, to all of you for your love. Thank you. Anyone else?
May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern, and the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May we never look away when we're needed. May the grieving be comforted and the tired find rest. May the broken places be healed, and may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant.
Our first reading is from Chimps with Everything, Jane Goodall's 50 Years in the Jungle by Robin McKee. 50 years ago, a slender young Englishwoman was walking through a rainforest reserve at Gombe in Tanzania when she came across a dark figure hunched over a termite nest. A large male chimpanzee was foraging for food. So she stopped and watched the animal through her binoculars as he carefully took a twig, bent it, stripped it of its leaves, and finally stuck it into the nest. Then he began to spoon termites into his mouth. Thus, Jane Goodall made one of the most important scientific observations of modern times in that remote African rainforest. She witnessed a creature other than a human in the act not just of using a tool, but of making one. It was hard for me to believe, she recalls. At that time, it was thought that humans, and only humans, used and made tools. I had been told from school onward that the best definition of a human being was man the tool maker. Yet I had just watched a chimp tool maker in action. I remember that day as vividly as if it was yesterday. Goodall telegraphed her boss, the fossil hunter Louis Leakey, father of Richard, with the news. His response has since become the stuff of scientific legend. Now we must redefine man, redefine tools, or accept chimpanzees as humans. Leakey was exaggerating, but not by much. Certainly, there's little doubt about the importance of Goodall's discovery 5 decades ago. As the distinguished Harvard paleontologist Stephen Jay Gould put it, this was one of the great achievements of 20th century scholarship. Goodall's subsequent observations found that not only did Pan troglodytes, the chimpanzee, make and use tools, but that our nearest evolutionary cousins embraced, hugged, and kissed each other. They experienced adolescence, developed powerful mother and child bonds, and used political chicanery to get what they wanted. They also made war, wiping out members of their own species with almost genocidal brutality on one occasion that was observed by Goodall. This work has held up a mirror, albeit a blurred one, to our own species. This is an excerpt from Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. There is no religion without love, and people may talk as much as they like about their religion, but if it does not teach them to be good and kind to other animals as well as humans, it is all a sham. Please join me in 1 minute of silent thought, meditation, or prayer. Our second reading is from Characteristics of Life by American poet Camille T. Dungy. Ask me if I speak for the snail, and I will tell you I speak for the snail. I speak of underneathedness and the welcome of mosses, of life that springs up, little lives that pull back and wait for a moment. I speak for the damselfly water skeet, mollusk, the caterpillar, the beetle, the spider, the ant. I speak from the time before spinelessness was frowned upon. Ask me if I speak for the moon jelly. I will tell you one thing today and another tomorrow, and I will be as consistent as anything alive on this earth. I move as the currents move, with the breezes. What part of your nature drives you? You, in your cubicle, ought to understand me. I filter and filter and filter all day. Ask me if I speak for the nautilus, and I will be silent as the nautilus shell on the shelf. I can be beautiful and useless if that's all you know to ask of me. Ask me what I know of longing, and I will speak of distances between meadows of night-blooming flowers. I will speak the impossible hope of the firefly. You, with the candle burning and only one chair at your table, must understand such wordless desire. To say it is mindless is missing the point. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 203, All Creatures of the Earth and Sky.
Hallelujah.
I'd been considering talking about animals for a while, especially when I found out that our peace pole was going to have the animals on the one side. And I thought, what a great time to do it. And as I was looking for the pieces that I wanted and how I wanted to talk about animals, saw a heartbreaking video online. Mother gorilla came in, and apparently she had had her baby and it had some medical problems, and they had taken it away immediately. It was very evident from the lines of her body she thought the baby had died. She came in, and the camera was in her den, and she sat down, and the shoulders were slumped, and her head was down, and you could see the absolute heartbreak of this animal. And then in front of her, from the pile of rag that was in her nest, a little arm came up and a hand did this, and she saw it and realized her baby was not dead. And she grabbed that infant and held it and did this like any other mother would. And I thought, that's where I want to go. I want to talk about that we are not alone here. Before 1960, the definition of human was that we were the tool-making animals. I even heard that in school because I went in Kentucky and we're a little backwards. But we got told that. That's the distinction. Humans are the tool-making animals. Jane Goodall changed that. She changed the world when she was able to see a chimp making and using a tool. And I love the line, now we have to redefine man, redefine tools, or accept chimpanzees as human. Well, we redefined man. But the use of tools, it implies that these primates understand cause and effect and foresight and creativity. In the years since then, our understanding of animal minds has expanded in amazing ways. You know, when Alfred Lord Tennyson wrote, he wrote, "Nature, red in tooth and claw," and for a long time, that is how we saw animals. But now we're beginning to understand the incredible depth of their inner life. This matters, especially under the current administration, where laws that protect animals and their habitats have the potential to be rewritten to the detriment of these non-human creatures. So tool use is a great display of animal intelligence. And we're seeing more of it, especially since everybody now has a smartphone in their hand, and they can get pictures as it's happening. Because these animals aren't just using sticks and stones and rocks. And if you'd put the picture up for me, between 2011, 2018, this picture that you're seeing now became the center of a bunch of court disputes and a whole new area of law. This is the first time that a macaw monkey has taken a selfie, knowingly, deliberately taken a selfie. The guy whose camera it was published the selfie, but it's very clear there's video of the monkey picking up the camera, turning it, and taking a picture of itself. And so we started a new section of case law because nobody knew if a monkey could own copyright, could control copyright. Because this picture's making money. And currently, the monkey could not control copyright because they have no ability to sign contracts or assign any rights. But neither can the man who let him have the camera. For right now, they have to remain in public domain. So if an animal takes a picture or creates a piece of art, it is in the public domain because They very wisely decided humans cannot claim that as their own either. What other tools can they use? Well, cats are currently very clearly displaying the ability on a tablet to pick out what they want from a series of things on a desktop, to hit it, open up a game, and play the game. Now, I'm very clear, my own cat, which I joke about, but she does have brain damage. She is a rescue. I've watched her do it. She understands which image it is on that tablet that she has to hit to open her mousey game. And then she will play her mousey game where she hits, she can beat me. I am not fast enough when it gets really going, but she is. They get that that is a thing that they can interact with and make it do things. Pigeons and seagulls make sleds and go skiing on snow or on sand. They pick up half of a plastic cup. New Caledonian crows make hooks from twigs or leaves to pull insects out. Sea otters have favorite stones they use as hammers. Elephants have been using branches as back scratchers for a long time. This behavior is not hardwired like eating or voiding. This is learned behavior from observation and experimentation, and they pass it down. Tool use is not just mechanical. It implies that these animals have an inner narrative. They have a problem-solving mind that evaluates the environment, sets a goal, reflects on the past, and makes a change to the world. You know, they're learning and growing. And when they're not learning and growing, they're playing. And I don't mean the kind of play that baby animals do to learn how their body works. That's not what I'm talking about. They are learning to play for play's sake. In 2024, a neuroscience professor at the University of Richmond taught rats to drive tiny cars. Now, I don't mean he put rats in a toy car. He had a robotics department create little cars that could be driven with little ratty feet. They were trying to create an experiment on how rats learned. What they did was find out that rats have an intense motivation for driving training. They were having a ball. The rats would often jump into the car and rev the engine. They were having fun. He said it got to the point when they figured out it was time to do training, they would be jumping up and down like your dog does when it wants to go for a walk. And when given a choice, did they want to drive their little car or do something else? They wanted to drive their little car. They were having fun. There's pictures all over the internet of Meatball the bulldog. He has a trampoline in the backyard. He doesn't just jump. He's doing barrel rolls. He's having fun. The presence of play, of joy and spontaneity, and this idea that, oh, neat, I want to do that again, reinforces this idea that not only are they intelligent, but that they have an inner experience that could be as rich as our own. Now, work and play are amazing, but empathetic behavior takes it a step further. Numerous studies have documented empathy in animals, from rodents to primates to dolphins and elephants. And there's a marvelous story. Hashima Gali wrote about it a few years back. Willie was a Quaker parrot in Denver, Colorado, and Willie is one of a marvelous small group of birds that have been honored with the Red Cross Animal Lifesaver Award. He saved a little girl's life. In November of 2009, Willie's owner, Megan Howard, was babysitting a little girl named Hannah, who was under 2, and Megan gave Hannah a Pop-Tart that she had just made for her. Hannah ate Pop-Tarts all the time, and the phone rang in the other room. So Megan went in the other room to get the phone. And within a few seconds, Willie began flapping his wings, banging into the wall, and shouting, "Mama, baby, mama, baby." And he wouldn't quit. She dropped the phone and ran in to find the toddler was choking on her Pop-Tart. She did the Heimlich, the Pop-Tart dislodged, the baby is fine, and a young woman these days. But Megan said, "The minute I took charge, Willie quit banging and squawking. He knew I had things under control. He calls me Mama, so he was clearly trying to get my attention, but the interesting was she had never taught him the word baby." He not only understood that choking was bad, turning blue was bad, even though it wasn't his species. He had never seen anyone choke before. But he got that not only was choking bad, he needed to tell somebody, he needed to help. He understood the idea of get help and had empathy for this little girl choking on her Pop-Tart, and he did something about it. Research on lab rats shows they'll free a trapped companion who's been deliberately restrained, even when there's no benefit. Gorillas and chimpanzees are on video having a bird get in their enclosure at the zoo or in the water when they're out in the wild, putting themselves at risk because they don't swim. Gorillas don't. But leaning into the water to rescue a bird that was drowning, that had hit too hard, and pulling it out. They've also done it with smaller mammals. There's no reason for that. It's a risk to themselves and no benefit. They have empathy. It speaks to an inner life, a world of feelings and social connections. They're different from ours, but it echoes ours. And that brings us to the most challenging idea, the idea of religion. The notion of religion for animals is very controversial because we commonly understand religion to be some kind of meeting, often in the name of some kind of deity, and you might engage in rituals or maybe just community building. We're not alone here on this planet, so we need to approach this with a little intellectual humility. While they may not engage in buying a building and going to sit there and singing hymns, they have sacred community. They have ritual. Lawrence Anthony was a conservationist and an environmentalist, amazing guy. He ran the Thula Thula Game Reserve in Zululand, South Africa, and he was the founder of Earth Organization. And according to anybody who knew him, Lawrence Anthony was just a good man, just a great guy. And what he did was he spent a lot of time, whenever there were rogue elephants, calming them down so they would not have to be killed, and getting them onto the Thula Thula Reserve. So at this point, he had 2 full herds of formerly vicious rogue elephants roaming around this massive reserve. He didn't believe in taming anything. That wasn't the point. He just wanted them to live safely and happily and calmly. The animals wandered freely over the reserve. They had very little contact with humanity. He had a house and compound at one end. From end to end of the reserve, if you are walking, it is about a 15-hour walk as an elephant from one end to the far side. So he had a home and a compound. He was almost never there, but occasionally he would stop in. By March 1st of 2012, the 2 elephant herds had not been near any of the human habitations for almost 18 months. They were usually hundreds of kilometers to the other side. But then something really terrible happened. Lawrence Anthony died. He had a heart attack preparing for a gala and a fundraiser in South Africa, and he was brought home to the game reserve about 12 hours after he had died, and as he was being brought to the reserve, the elephants showed up, all of them. And this is on video. The keepers panicked and ran for cameras because they had no idea what was going on. These animals had not been there for 18 months. They had been 300 miles away. Nobody phoned up the elephants to say, he died, we're so sorry. And they had to have begun walking nearly at the moment that he died in order to get there. But they did. And they not only got there, they got there in time for his body to be brought into the reserve. They stood there in procession, and they waited. The first herd had arrived on Sunday, the second a day later, and they stood there for 2 days. The gameskeepers filmed the elephants as they walked in slow, single file, mourning around the house. These violent rogue elephants designed to be shot a few years earlier as pests. They came and they mourned their friend, and no one knows how they have any idea that that man had died. A rabbi, Leila Gale Berner, said, "A good man died suddenly, and from miles and miles away, 2 herds of elephants sensed it and moved in solemn funereal procession to make a call on the bereaved family." These actions are not religious in any conventional sense, and yet you would have to be fairly argumentative to not find any claim that there was some kind of sacredness there. This challenges a long-held belief that only humans are capable of transcendent thought. They work, they play, they care, they engage in religious behavior. There's more. They understand commerce. More and more dogs and cats are figuring out that if you bring something to the window of a takeout, they will give you something. You can find it all over the internet. You can find it in studies. They watch. They know we're trading something, so they bring something to trade. Crows have begun to understand the concept of actual money. It's an amazing story. A crow had something shiny, and it turned out to be a nickel. He dropped it on the head of a young man who was sitting outside on his patio. Happened to be that he lived next to a Taco Bell. Guy thinks, okay, this will be funny. So he holds up the nickel. He walks into the Taco Bell with the crow watching him. He comes out with a taco, and he hands it to the crow. 2 days later, the crow shows up with a $5 bill. So he goes in and he buys 3 tacos. He takes 1, gives the crow 2. This has been going on now for almost 20 months. Whenever the crow wants tacos, he comes by, he waits for him to be sitting on the porch, and he drops real money on him. The guy said, "I never want to find out where he is stealing it from." But they get that. Studies have shown crows apparently have the intelligence of a 7-year-old human. They remember faces, hold grudges, they barter with human friends. Chimpanzees, on the other hand, engage in prostitution. They have figured that out. And on top of everything, they're starting to tell us about it. Now, how many of you in here, I know at least one, how many of you have seen Bunny the dog online? Got a few. Bunny the dog is part of a study at a university. Her owner has talk pads on the floor, and each button has a different word. Bunny has gone beyond doing things like go outside. If you Google Bunny, they're amazing videos. She has progressed, and she has currently been put on antidepressants because she is asking questions like, why bunny dog, mom human? The other day, she told her owner that the owner had forgotten her stomach medicine for Bunny and that her stomach hurt and she would like her medicine. She dreams and talks about her dreams. And this is not the old school where Coco used to sign things and you had no idea what Coco the gorilla was talking about. And they'd say, well, he said ball, but he really means kitten. This dog is putting whole words, and she's beginning to use adjectives and adverbs also. Flounder the cat is not far behind her. 2 days ago, she was reminding her mother, forgot closet. Oh yeah, I forgot to move the laundry. And then Flounder kind of pounces and goes to lay down. The funniest one was when Bunny showed her sense of humor. Her human mother passed gas on camera unexpectedly. Bunny went over and hit mom, pretend poop. There is a mind there. They think, they work, they play, they love, they worry. And we have a duty. If we believe, as we claim, the world is one web, then we have a duty to care about the rest. Because they cannot vote. They get treated like property no matter how smart they are. Right now, knowing that Bunny is aware, her owner could decide tomorrow to just put her to sleep. A thinking being that can recognize herself in the mirror, talks about her dreams, talks about her tummy hurting. She can be sold, and she can be put to sleep. We have a duty. Should you become a vegan or vegetarian? I can't say. Should you vote to preserve wildlands and habitats? I can't say. Work to end animal testing? I can't say. Only you know what is right for you based on how you interact with this information. One thing I can say is that we are not alone, and we have a duty. Do your duty. Amen. We extinguish this chalice and carry its light into the world to shine on all creatures of the earth and sky. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 1064, Blue Boat Home. human and animal alike, we share together one world, one planet, one web. May we always, always share with respect, wisdom, and joy. Peace, ashe, and may it be so. And Jean reminds me, it is 6 for the McCarthy show. 6, not 7. So, all right.